Hello, welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Great Expectations. Chapter 5, My First Kiss. Obediently, I returned to Miss Havisham 6 days later, and again to an arrogant Estella led me along the dark passageway. Miss Havisham seated me as before at her dressing table, greeted me with, "You do not play very well, boy. Are you willing to work?" At my nod, she directed me to wait for her in the dining room across the hall. Like her dressing room, this room also had curtains drawn against daylight and was filled with an oppressive, airless smell. The clocks here, as in the other room, had stopped at 20 minutes to 9. The main piece of furniture was a long table with a dusty, rotten cloth spread on it, as if in preparation for a feast. In the middle of the table was a tarnished silver stand that seemed to be a center of activity for speckled leg spiders. Atop the stand was a yellow mound so heavy with cobwebs I could not recognize what it was. I was so fascinated with watching some of my scuttling around the room that I did not hear Miss Havisham hobble in. Leaning on a walking stick, she pointed with the stick to the yellow mound under the table and explained, "That is my bridal cake." And then, putting her twitching hand on my shoulder, she ordered, "Now for your work, you will walk me around." With her leaning on my shoulder, we walked slowly around the room. This, then, was my work, to be followed by a game of cards with Stella under Miss Havisham's eye, and by a dog-like meal. For 8 or more months, this was the pattern of my visits. In time, I grew less clumsy at play, but Estella was always cruel to me, finding new imperfections in me to laugh at. Only twice was there some difference in the routine. On one occasion, a gentleman was coming down the stairs as Estella was leading me up them. He stopped to look at me. "Whom have we here?" he asked. "Just a boy," said Estella carelessly. He was a large man with a large head. It was hard for me to feel at ease, for he looked at me with a suspicious gaze under bushy black brows. "From the neighborhood?" "Yes, sir," I replied. "I'm Pip, sir." He thought over my answer and then waved at me. I forgot him, for at the time he was nothing to me. The other incident that disturbed me, our routine, happened when Miss Havisham had Estella and me play longer than usual at cards. Usually I was made stupid by nervousness. This time, having longer to adjust to the card playing, I did fairly well, and Miss Havisham even praised me. This must have made an impression on me, Estella, for when she saw me to the gate, she turned and said, "Come here, you may kiss me if you like." I kissed her cheek as she turned to me. Until that moment, I would have given up anything to kiss Estella, but she had spoken in the same imperious way that Miss Havisham had praised me. She was imitating the old lady, giving a tip to a common boy who had surprisingly done something well. I could not value such a kiss. One day, Miss Havisham remarked as she placed her arm on my shoulder for her walk, "You are growing tall, Pip." Later, she asked if the blacksmith still wanted me as his apprentice. When I told her that it was dear's wish, she said, "Then it is time for it to become facts. Let's see the papers." My sister, Jo, and Uncle Pumblechook took me to the town hall, and I was registered as Joe's apprentice. When I brought the papers to Miss Havisham, she nodded in approval and gave me the magnificent sum of 25 guineas. "You have been a good boy," she said. "Here's your reward. Expect no other. You are not to come here again. Joe Gargery is your master now." When I showed the reward at home, my sister was convinced that Miss Havisham had plans for me. Uncle Pumblechook agreed and reminded me that it was through him that I was Miss Havisham. Joe was in a whirl of delight. That last I was his apprentice. Once I'd been my fondest hope too, but now I dreaded facing the forge in life as a blacksmith. Miss Havisham and Estella, their riches and refinement, had changed me permanently. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.